This is IBM Museum. Here I am in front of my NCR 3433 with the working diskette drive. But this gives me an error about the CMOS. And asks me if I want to run the reference diskette, which I can do for this model. Okay. And the reference diskette is already in there, so I didn't have to press any extra key. I do have to press the F1 key to get it to boot to that. Okay. System configuration. So it's kind of a good thing that I made up this diskette to create the image for that USB drive for the other unit I have. So it's the diskette I have is perfectly working with the files I have on it that I used on that other system. Okay. So the power on self-test detected 2 errors, and I go through and I initially get a memory error, and then also get this real-time clocks bad battery flag is set, and the battery should be replaced. So if I run through the configuration, it just always loops back here. Time and time again, I get no further. And I mean, I can go through automatic configuration here. So what I thought of, and I don't really have enough supplies on hand of them. This uses that Dallas DS1387 real-time clock chip. And I've not... Okay, and I'm going to do the escape, and I'm going to eject that diskette. And I do have more of the DS1387s on back order, but I've never dremeled into any of those units. I've always modified the DS1287, and the DS1387 is a little bit different. There's no modern equivalent, so you have to modify the chip. It has an extra 4 KB of non-volatile RAM that's on that chip. And I don't know where the layout of that extra non-volatile RAM is. I don't know how the battery is set in there. Typically with the DS1287s, the battery is on top. It's easy to go in there and Dremel slots into the side and severe that battery connection. But it's it's a big unknown factor for the DS1387. So I'm going to go through it. I have my Dremels out. I'm willing to go through and see if I can discover anything, and seeing if I can actually get a battery, external battery, for this unit working, so I can get it configured as well. When I have the other DS1387 chips come in, I will just get an assembly line going, and with what I've learned here to how to modify those. There's a few of my systems, mainly in those NCR systems, and also the replacement planers I've covered in previous videos. And then one of those being the Reply 55, which also became the PS2 Model 53 SLC. Those use those DS1387 real-time clock chips. So there's several models I do have around that also will need to be modified for that. So as we can see, we're looped back to that same error, even though we just ran automatic configuration with the on that real-time clock chip. So I'm going to try and get set up and look into where the DS1387 is on that planar or motherboard inside the unit, and then I'll look at pulling it and starting to just Dremel into that unit to figure out some information. Okay, so here I've got the Skycam set up, and over the top of this drive bay assembly, the drive cage with the diskette drive and the hard drive back here, they've got a fan at the back of the unit. And I even want to see how this one is set up, because on my other one, the working model that I put on that Gotek drive, it has a Kingston turbo chip upgrade CPU. And it's kind of interesting for all the CPU because the Kingston turbo chip has a fan on top of it, and that fan comes up right at the bottom of this flat portion underneath the hard drive. So there's not even that much air, and the fan doesn't circulate air below this drive cage at all. And so I'm surprised for that chip being underneath everything of how it is not cooled by the fan at all. On these NCR systems, there doesn't really appear to be as much thought going into them, into how they're cooled. And even this power supply, I mean, it looks like it has a little bit of a, well, even that, yeah, maybe it has a little bit of a fan bump behind there for that, but it's not even all that big of fan grill for that. It's probably maybe a 60 millimeter, which is a fairly uncommon size. So here it has, and I pulled out my glasses to see. Yeah, and see that's a 46DX2 66 megahertz, and that doesn't even have the heat sink on it. And then there's some kind of weird module, and I looked and saw that this is identified as a 1495, and it's kind of a strange pinout. It's almost like might be something like where a Gotek module would go. 1467 Gotek coprocessor looks about like that same pinout, and when it's not populated on that, this little card, terminator card maybe, is present. So, I mean, I don't really necessarily want to pull and get into that at the moment. Here is that Dallas 1387 chip. I can't remember if we had pulled. I don't think I've pulled that before. It looks to be about the same, you know, it's got the same relative pinout as the DS1287. I can probably get that up on my big screen, get some kind connections switched around here. Okay. I want to go to an HDMI. Okay. And so here is a Dallas 1287, and those pans, and so these are, you groove these spots for the negative and positive connections of that internal battery, and then I typically bore into the high side of that module to sever the negative terminal lead to that internal battery, and then solder into those pins lower to connect up the external battery. And I've got even several of these that are unmodified so far, just like this, that I need to get that assembly line going for these modules as well. I don't really have a system that's calling for a modified module, but I need to get some of these completed too. Here's the 1387, and you can see real-time ramified, and a date of the 39th week of 1992. And the same relative pins. Pin's a little bent. And then on the other side where the work is done. Now it does have these 2 pins populated here. I'd even have to look at a data sheet to find out what those may do. And those may be for like an external power source or who knows what. I've run this on the system and it still doesn't act like it retains any charge or anything else once the system is powered off. That the internal battery on this is truly flat. And so the pins I need to go in on this side are just right at those blank spots. So it'll make it easy to kind of index, and I can get started straight away. Now I'm actually going to put on, let me move these out of the way. I'm going to put on my safety glasses with bifocal lenses for me to see up and close. And we can just start motoring away at this thing. So, I mean, by all means, wear safety glasses. I'm not responsible for you picking up a Dremel and getting a little bit of something in your eye. Okay. Okay, so what I even see initially there, that negative lead, which I've exposed, and it couples with the battery typically up in the top of the module on the 1287, And this is actually more of a straight up. With the 1287, it actually leans in towards the top to couple with the battery. And so I have to see, but it's just that quick and that easy to expose that side. And I may have to go through and figure out where that battery is just to break the connection of that internal battery. And there's the positive side. And you can sever the internal battery on either side. It's just that with a DS1287, a lot of the time, it's easier to sever that negative side. It's just easier to access it because on the positive side, this goes down below the battery and can just be a little bit harder to get at. And I mean, I don't have any other ideas on what the layout of this module might be for where the chip circuitry of the 4 KB of non-volatile RAM would be on that chip. It'd be nice to have an X-ray or something else. And I might have to violate kind of one of the things that I mean, I'd like to sever that internal battery because I don't want that coming into play with the circuit I made, but the external battery. But I may just go through and solder on an external battery and just to see if we can get this to work right off the bat. So let me pause for that. I'll get the siren iron on and get the wire bits that I need. Okay, and I could go at it with the voltmeter just to make sure. And in this position, positive on this side, negative on that side. Okay. And I'm just ultimately, I think I'm just picking up stray, very small stray voltage. If I get my voltmeter, yeah, less than a fraction of a volt. That battery is truly flat. And let me see if I can get a and this is gray. It doesn't have colored insulation, but the wires within are silver and gold colored. Just want to get a little bit more exposed for that side, for the silver side. And of course, I'm going to go with the gold colored side to the positive. And okay. And of course, they're going to both look silver as soon as I get some solder on them. And let me try and clean my tip a little bit, get a little bit of solder on there. I think I'm going to get a little bit more of a spread. Okay. That looks like it's good bond. And when I do that soldering iron, it melts away a little bit of that plastic around there too that I didn't get dremeled out of the way. And I've gone pretty high on that negative side. So if I were to get in there and try and sever that internal battery connection, it would be, I'd have to dig in there. I just want to get some spare, DS1387s or a few more so I can just investigate a little bit deeper on how they're arranged inside. I don't know if there'd be any diagram of those. I can just get a little basic, figure out which of my coin cell holders that I want to use. I've got a couple types and got probably I got enough of these that I can use one of them. And they have a 3-prong. I do even have some electrical tape around for those. There's the negative side, and that's that single terminal in the center. And on the positive side, it's both of these posts are of positive. So I can do a connection to either one of those. And it'd even be nice to have a cable length that I don't, wouldn't have to go through and remove the drive cage or something like that if swapping batteries. But we'll just give it a little bit of lead there for that at the moment. And get that out from beneath the solder path. I can't lean in enough on my soldering area. Okay, so positive there. Okay. Do I have enough? Get me a little bit more solder for the negative side. Look down through my light ring. Okay. We are good with those connections. So there I have my module that, let me get switched back to my SkyCam, and pin 1 is towards the rear of the unit. It's the dot on the chip, the Dallas module. Just to get those lined up. I'm going to get some electrical tape that I can pull off and still identify that the positive side, get in there, get one of the little Dhcp batteries I have. Okay. And plug it in there. Positive side up. And I don't know if I really can't have that battery floating around in there either. I had electrical tape out already. I left it out. So let's just do a quick covering there so we don't have any exposed metal. I'm going to drop the drive cage back in place. good there. Get our SCSI. Connection back in place. Get our drive power back in place. I think we are good with that. I'm just checking out power cables. Okay, so get over to our VGA again. We don't have to put the cover on. We can go ahead and power up. We have the reference diskette in. Okay, I'm going to turn off the solder iron. I'll go through and clean up after myself after this. I just want to see, and we're just past 32 minutes of recording, and take another 3 minutes to get past this initialization and process. And I think that this one has Windows 95 on it too. Okay, so we want press enter. Well, and while I have the unit open, I should even add another. I've got other Ethernet boards identical to what the other system had, and I have the ADF already on this diskette. So who knows? We'll see what our automatic configuration does. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and of course the time to stick in that or escape detected 3 errors. Okay. Okay. Press that to run automatic configuration. Now I want to see if I can get it to boot the hard drive and if the Windows 95 will come up. Okay, so configuration complete. Press any key to continue. Okay. And let's go through with the utilities. And we set the time and date while we're in here. Okay, so 03, 06, 2021. Okay. And 2023. Okay. Okay, let's do escape. 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 Eject the diskette. And see what we can do. Okay, and I would have hoped that this would have been a little bit quicker. I think on the other one, as we went through and had a good configuration, it seemed like that quickened up a little bit for this initialization and process. And in progress, excuse me. And then I'm taking it that the detection or all the other equipment to the system is working fine, including that SCSI hard drive. And this has the same BIOS version as that other system that, and it marks it as 83.01.00. And I don't know if the 83 is a typo or not. I thought normally the latest BIOS for this was that 03. And so that hard drive is spinning up. Sounds good. Okay. Extended CMOS has been reconfigured. Do we wish to run the IR BIOS locally? And it says reboot to use the and I'm going to just say no for this. It might be interesting to go through NT detect. So does this has NT 4.0? So neato. I got one with Windows 95 and the other one with NT 4.0. And of course the system with NT 4.0 has a processor that's half the speed. Has that 46DX2 66 megahertz. And Lord knows, and I do have my high-ren CD, and I can connect up an external CD drive, but I may not remember passwords. If indeed, login in process. Isn't that beautiful to see? NT 4.0. Okay. Ah ha ha. Okay. And I need to get my mouse up here too. We're in a graphical operating system. Some of that and I'm going to have to probably face the screen there. Okay. So I'm not going to try and connect to any map drives again. Oh, and that got us right into the system. Okay, and I'll go through and I'll remove, and So I guess this system does have two drives, two local drives. And then one drive was mapped. Okay. And it's got Internet Explorer the same way. Okay. Family 4, Model 3, Stepping 5, which is a real common 486 DX66 megahertz. Okay. And in fact, I didn't see what, I could have looked at what service pack was installed. Okay. Or we do a long-standing Windows command, WinVer. Okay, so Service Pack 6, that's the latest Windows NT, or I think it was 6 or 6A. Yeah, registered revised Service Pack 6A. Okay. So, where is my pointer? Okay. Network. Now think of having mapped network drives. Group Zeta. Okay, that SMC. So now is the time for me to pause the video and quickly grab one of those network adapters. I'm going to go through and shut the system down, reconfigure all that. We're at coming on 43 minutes for recording time. And you wouldn't believe how quickly, of course I had this from one of the previous videos, but just how quickly I was able to go through and pull this out. This is exactly the same adapter as we have on that other NCR 3433. And looks brand spanking new. So, okay. And I really hope that I've got where I can access files, the NT files. Of course, it already has that adapter, an entry in there. So I want to give it the physical adapter that it's supposed to have. Okay. Save to turn off your computer. Put it in the same relative slot as the other one. And we'll look at that when we get into Windows NT. And remember, I said on the prior video that Windows NT, you had to get up to Service Pack 3 before it enumerated the microchannel adapters correctly. It's still, it's kind of hanging up. Okay. And while we're at it, as this starts up, my belt clip of the microphone is coming off. So get that tucked in. I was going to grab the... Okay. I was going to grab the network cable. So we can get that in there. Okay. Okay. Okay, and it should have identified about that microchannel configuration changing. Okay, so yes. Press enter. Okay, F1. Okay, system configuration. Okay, any key to continue. And we do have that ADF file already on that diskette, since I used that image of that diskette to put on the USB drive for the other system. Okay. Okay, so configuration information slot has been changed by the insertion or deletion of an adapter. Okay. You can press any key. Enter to run automatic configuration. Configuration complete. Okay, so let's just look at viewing that. And we looked at this before in the other system, and it's weird that it identifies that slot-free AT&T NCR Starlan network, and it identifies a whole different NCR specific adapter. Okay, so we're just going to go through and escape. We're going to eject that diskette, and below 50 minutes of recording time, we're getting back in to run Windows NT. I will verify the network settings, and we should be able to just get this online. And I don't think I specified that I was using Windows 95 on the old net before, and we'll have to see on how those networking changes. I may have to do even a couple reboots for those to go in place. But we can go on theoldnet.com again, and where it's probably March the 7th in Australia or wherever that is, New Zealand maybe, and sign that guest book specifying that it's Windows NT 4.0 on an NCR 3433. It's a little bit different. Press the spacebar to access RBIOS menus. Well, no, I think it's about the same as the other. Yeah, I thought these systems were more identical with Windows 95, but this is great that there is a that they are different operating systems of Windows 95 and Windows NT. Okay, and I remember I didn't choose to remap the network drive, so we shouldn't have any errors on startup. And it's strange to me that, okay, it's trying to restore that connection. Did pop up that. I mean, I'm going to have to go through and I'll have to unmap that drive. It looks like it has some sort of Norton. Okay. So to unmap the drive, looks like those hard drives are shared, the local hard drives. Okay. So we want to do disconnect. Okay, and network drives are nice when it comes down to it, but we might as well get this to a configuration that's set up right now. Okay, and we go to our network. I'm not going to worry about any of the... Okay, and we have TCP IP. I can leave those IPX, SPX, and NetBIOS, although... Okay, IP address, DNS... I mean, it should get these values from Dhcp, but I'll go through and add them manually, just so they're in there. Okay. I don't think I need to look through all the wins and all that. Just want to make sure that, okay. Cannot configure the hardware component. Okay. Just because probably Okay. And it's got all the cool little adapters here in alphabetical order. Wow. And I've even got some of these around. Okay, and so there's a W. Where did I set that? TA. I'm trying to remember because one of these has a TP connection. Yes, we do. Already installed on the system. And that just means we probably don't have to replace files or... Okay. So remember, we're probably going to go through and we're going to remove that one. It's been a long time since I've done... And that should take the... Well... Okay, well, maybe that's... And maybe we didn't even have to do that if we can't configure that component right now. It should have given us properties, though. Or maybe we have to go through all the bindings and all that stuff. Okay. So, and that's the only adapter. And I forget how to go through and rename these. Okay. So, actually we want to obtain an IP address from Dhcp. I've got the DNS. I've got the WIN. Oh, routing. Well, it's going to get the gateway address from the DHCP server. Okay. Yes. Like I say, I expected, and we'll probably brush up just a little bit beyond an hour for video, but that's not too bad for something that I just thought I was going to go through and mod that DS1387 and be done with it. But okay. We shouldn't have any errors come up or anything that should halt this boot process of just powering the system on and having it run the boot to the Windows NT. And we shouldn't have any errors as it goes through. And we don't have any network drives mapped. It should just drop us right into the Windows NT. And it's really, what's the strangest thing to me is the Windows 95 setup. And I can do a quick login, and that goes right through all that where I have to specify the username, and then I got the blank password, but just clicking on that OK in the login. Yet this Windows NT 4.0 that I'm used to having to log into I don't have to. It takes us right to the desktop. And I know it can be configured that way, but I'm just not as familiar with that configuration to where it doesn't prompt me for login details. And of course, this is not getting onto any domain or anything else. I don't have a domain set up here at this location. I do in my other location, but any domain controllers or anything like that. But so this is putting us into control panel. It might be worthwhile if we can see the properties of that network adapter now. And they have a system information icon. That's maybe from the Norton. Yeah, and see, it still doesn't, even though that's selected, we don't have any access to a properties on that adapter. And to me, that's strange too, knowing that the microchannel adapters are enumerated. And it should be where we would have to specify like slot number 3 of where we have that network adapter. So it does a blank page. I wanted to see if doesn't look like there's any proxy stuff or anything else like that where we've got a network cable that's connected. Internet Explorer 6. I would have expected Internet Explorer 3 or 4. But Internet Explorer 6 and the blank page, you're going to go onto the oldnet.com. But to see if anybody's on that guest book since I was on there. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. It's online. Welcome to the old internet again. Sign the guest book. Okay, our handle. Okay, so we'll leave that message, and there has been some other signatures. Others could see what I did by that dialog box, is what it was warning. So there, and it's already March the 7th, about the same time that we had before. And this is just, it looks like about an hour and a half ago, somebody else was on there saying, so this is from online, I'm on Windows, and then maybe 2.5 hours ago, I'm on Windows 95.2. Okay, so this looks like there's a lot of, so it works on Windows XP. So there's been actually quite a few people that have signed the guest book since I was on. I'm not even, okay, so 1 to 20. Oh, the next, or no, that goes, I guess we want to go to well, no, next works fine. Should be the previous page. Okay. And I can't remember what date was that that I signed, but I've got a new entry now. It's that's verifiable. And I thought it had marked it as the 4th, even though I was the 3rd. Yep. So there's my other entry. And I said that it was on Windows 95, so neato. Almost the same sort of thing. But, so that's the NCR 3433 running Windows NT 4.0. It has the working diskette drive, and just a comparable unit to the other one that I have with the Gotek running Windows 95. So I've got both of those systems working now very well. And I'll dig in a little bit more on the DS1387 to figure out a little bit of the internal layout once I have a few more chips. I don't want to necessarily have a charged battery in parallel with that dead battery, but I don't know what the resistance or what the situations of those batteries, if they'll interact like that. And I definitely want to go through and sever one of those connections once I figure out a little bit more of the internal layout of the chip. I don't want to necessarily leave it like this. I'll probably go through, once I power down, I'll probably get in there and I'll see if I can pull that battery just for storing it until I come up with a little bit better solution, and just have the chip in, the battery in there when I'm actually running the system like this. But if you enjoyed this content, click on that like button. And by all means, subscribe to my channel if you have not already. I'm looking for more subscribers. But that is all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.